Welcome to another Teabreak episode of While There Is Tea, There Is Hope. And I'm really happy to have a special guest this time, Sarah Rhea Werner of the Right Now podcast and a little audio drama some people might know, Girl in Space, which is awesome.
Thank you.
How are you doing, Sarah?
Hi, I'm wonderful. How are you? I'm happy to see you.
Yes.
Thank you for that intro.
You're welcome. Let's get this started then about tea and you. When did your love of tea begin, and what's your earliest memory of enjoying tea?
Oh, this is a great place to start because this is something. This is the reason I still drink tea.
Awesome.
So growing up, my dad would always have a cup of tea in the morning, and it was at the time like Libsyn, that's a podcast host, Lipton, not Libsyn tea, Lipton Orange and Spice, and it was a black tea with obviously orange and spice in it. And he would be hurrying out the door and I would get up early and he would have his mug of tea and I'd be like, oh, Dad, can I have some? And so I would have like a Tupperware little cup of milk and he would splash some of his tea into it before he left in the morning. And I would just like sit there and drink it. And it was like creamy and warm and delicious.
Wow.
And that's what a
happy place.
it is. And it just,
and is there a scent with it too? The smell you remember and stuff too?
Yeah. And I tried years ago to find the tea and I only could find an herbal variation that didn't have like the black tea in it that I remembered. But then Bigelow, I don't know how to say it. They made
Bigelow. Yeah. They're actually based here in San Francisco.
Oh, well,
so yeah.
Awesome. They have a tea called Constant Comment, which is exactly the flavor I remembered. And so
my wife and mother-in-law drank it for decades and I know that smell very well.
Yes. It's very, it's just a very like signature smell. And so, I drink that. It's like my little comfort beverage. I'm normally like to wake up and to start my day, I'll go for coffee. But then when I'm writing, when I am just feeling contemplative, I'll have a cup of tea and it's the only tea I drink with milk and sugar in it, just because that's how
you remember it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
So yeah. So for me, it's a very warm, comforting memory and it just takes me back every time I drink it.
And you just have a vast supply at home all the time.
I do. I buy them. So like you can buy Constant Comment in like really big quantities and and I have several.
And now I know what to get you for your birthday.
There you go.
So you mentioned Constant Comment. Do you have any other favorite teas?
I do. Sorry, Midori is walking around on my desk, so I hope
okay. We'll clearly have to play a clip of the video too.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Struggles you go through it interviewing, yeah.
If you're hearing this gentle little pitter patter, it's my cat.
It's not Sarah hitting the mic. It's
not.
like the cat.
No, it's my 19-year-old cat who loves to just be at the center of everything. Favorite teas, my gosh. Now she's purring into the mic. I rediscovered, so like when we talked about like tea growing up, we only had one kind of tea in the house and it was the orange and spice. And like later I discovered there were other kinds of tea. So like when I was in college, I discovered that there was black tea and green tea. I didn't know about white tea yet. And I also discovered herbal tea. In college, I had no use for herbal tea because it did not have caffeine.
Right.
But later on I discovered
didn't get what you wanted out of
it. Exactly. And I went to Chinatown in Chicago when I was a student just for like a day and bought green jasmine tea and drank that. And I bought a little like tea infuser and it was like my prized possession.
Oh.
And everybody who came into my dorm room had to have, whether they wanted it or not, I would make them a cup of green jasmine tea.
That's what your dorm room smelled like.
Oh yeah.
Everyone knew it.
Oh yeah. My room was like the tea room and like, none of my friends wanted to drink my tea, but it was like, it was important to me that I make it for them and serve it to them because it was important to me. And when we're at that age, we all
like books. You want to
exactly.
You
push it. Exactly. I was like a book pusher, a tea pusher. So that was really, my thing. And I stuck with that forever. And then now that I'm like an adult and I can order things on the internet, I've discovered so many wonderful tea shops and tea varieties. And I have a just revolving door of teas coming in. So right now I'm drinking Egyptian chamomile from the Art of Tea. I was really hoping, I ordered a white tea with peony in it, and I was really hoping it would be here in time for our episode because I really want to try it, but it's not here yet. So chamomile it is.
And what was that one you were talking about the other day that had the metal name?
Oh, Iron Goddess of Mercy. Like,
and again, that was the Art of Tea, I think, too, right?
Yeah, but I've also seen it in other places. So I wonder if it is just a specific type of, it's a green oolong. And it's really good. And it's weirdly good on its second and third steeping.
I've heard about certain teas.
Yeah, and
it's a sign of good tea.
Yeah, it is. When it gets better, like, okay, I'm interested. Yeah, and it's like almost this beautiful, like creamy flavor. It's like clover, honey.
You pick up different notes each time. Like, way to make tea even better by, I just got to drink more.
I know, it's
to
just
appreciate it even more.
It's a discovery as you drink it. So,
So what does tea do for you?
Ooh, tea is okay. So I have all sorts of. We won't turn this into a mental health episode, but I struggle with depression, anxiety, and I also might have a touch of adult ADHD, which means that it's incredibly hard for me to focus and be present and center myself and just exist. And tea really helps me to do that. I don't know. I know you attend some of my live streams, or if you've ever seen me give a talk, I will always have like a cup of tea that I am gripping like a life preserver. Because this is what keeps me rooted in the present. And I don't know if it's tea so much as it is my like concept of tea in my brain that keeps me rooted, but
and the
also,
ritual of having it with you and making it. And
exactly. And like feeling the warmth and the solidness of the mug. It just really helps me to exist and to be present with people. So
wow, that's pretty awesome.
Thank you. It's good. I'm glad that I discovered that works.
So why do you think drinking tea is important?
Well, it's important to me. I really want to like go back in time and tell college age Sarah to like stop pushing tea on people, because I don't ever want to tell someone else what's good for them, but right. I will tell you that tea is important to me because of, again, it roots me in the present. But also I just feel better when I'm drinking it. Especially when I'm drinking oolong, like I just feel good and I feel clean and I just feel, I don't know. And I don't, how much of that is the placebo effect? How much of that is knowing that like, oh yeah, these teas contain powerful antioxidants and they're doing all of these good things for your body.
Right. I mean, it's been proven with green tea and white tea that they specifically do good things for you. Yeah,
exactly.
Help with circulation and different things. Yep.
Yeah. And so I love the health benefits, especially since I'm not like the world's healthiest eater. I'm like, oh, the tea that I drink will make up for that. I had pizza for dinner, but I'm having tea. So there's something good going in there.
Now, tea leaves on pizza instead of oregano.
Oh, I don't even know. Okay. Fun fact. I came into the possession of a book back in 2006 called Cooking with Tea. And I'm tempted to send it to you, or at least take a picture of the cover and send that to you. I was, and I used it for several years as like a coaster. Never opening it or using any of the recipes inside it. I just liked the idea that I owned a tea cookbook. And so I don't know if I ever saw like tea leaves being used in the book. It was mostly like, oh, you make the tea and then you add it to this recipe and whatever.
Right. It's more of a complimentary thing, like wine and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know whenever I have various Asian dishes, it's like if I can, I always want to have green tea with it.
Yeah.
And it's that much more enjoyable.
Yeah.
So has tea influenced your writing or your work in any way? I know you talked a little bit about your create-alongs, but how about what else?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Hot beverages are a staple in everything that I create and do.
And not just because you live in South Dakota.
Exactly. It's not just because I'm cold all the time. Exactly. No, it's this is not, well, my character X in Girl in Space, you know, she's obsessed with coffee, but she also talks about having
cheese.
tea, right? Having tea and strawberries for dessert. She is a tea drinker. Everything else that I've written and never published, you know, my drawer full of unpublished novels here, there's always a coffee house or a tea house that is very central.
Funny how that stuff just automatically gets in there every time. Huh?
It creeps in because it's part of my life and it's part of me. And I've spent so much of my life when I was living in Chicago for 2 years, I didn't have internet because I was a poor college postgraduate. And so I would go to there was actually a hookah lounge across the street from my apartment, but it was also a coffee house. And so I would sit there and drink coffee and tea and use their internet until 3 a.m., you know, and then walk back to my apartment and repeat the next day. And
do writing too?
Yeah. And that's where I would write. Yeah. So I
sounds very like Hemingway or something.
I know, but it was more just like, I'm a poor college student who has $200 and nothing else. And I can't even afford the internet. So yeah.
Yeah, with Austin, I obviously made tea a big deal because I love tea as well. And then I had to figure out later on, well, now I got to give a reason for having this be a literal plot point.
You know what? I never give a reason for it though. I don't think like Axe never says like, oh, I love having tea because this, and there's a tea latte that, no spoilers or anything. I'm working on a new like horror project.
Oh,
and
cool.
There's a character who drinks a lot of tea and
never really deal with the horror, right?
Well, you know, yeah, never explicitly explains why, but like if you go through a lot of trauma, I think that, you know, tea is a good healing substance to put into your life.
So you talked about Chicago. So what about where you live now? Do you have any favorite places you like to go for tea when there's not a pandemic and we're not stuck at home? Yeah,
when there's not a pandemic. Okay, so I live in South Dakota, and immediately you're probably like, oh, there's probably no tea in South Dakota. However, we have so many, like within walking distance of my house, I have 2 independent coffee roasters. Like within walking
not
distance.
Just chains, right? Independent, right?
No, and we also have Starbucks and Caribou and Dunn Brothers and like whatever. So we've got a ton of those too. But like 2 independent coffee roasters within walking distance of my house, and each of them has like an in-house like tea master who like sources their tea.
Oh, awesome.
I am so spoiled. And they do them seasonally too. So you'll go and you'll get, and I buy little pouches of them too. So yeah, you'll go and you'll get something like really beautiful. And then
clearly you need to do like a writing retreat for where you live, and then because of all these awesome coffee and tea places.
Share the bounty. Yeah. Or like do giveaways like for my podcast, like, hey, I'm giving away this tea. But it's really abundant. It's really lovely. And so yeah, living in
do they have cool names?
They do. And can I remember any of them off the top of my head? No.
If you do, we can put them in the show notes later on.
Okay.
So do you have any specific tea you recommend to friends or family or complete strangers on the street?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Set the pusher.
I am, and it's so awful. You know what, when I push tea on people, like when I recommend tea, I always want to like make it for them. I never want to go up to somebody and say hey, go there and buy this. And instead I'm like, hey, I want to make you a cup of this because I think you'll really enjoy it. And you got to make it right. Yeah. Oh, and I was going to tell you, until a week and a half ago, I did not own a tea kettle. I was using the microwave, and I know that's like heresy, right? But like that's how I started making tea in college. I would like heat the water in a microwave or in my hot pot, but then it would end up tasting like noodles. Like, and you don't want noodles in your tea. But yeah, no, I would use a microwave, and I'd put the tea bag in after I microwaved the water because I felt weird about microwaving a tea bag. So I bought a tea kettle for the first time just like 2 weeks ago. And so that's what I've been using, and it's been truly lovely. But
is it electric?
It is. It's a little electric kettle.
Awesome.
And it glows blue and it's very pretty.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Is it see-through too? Or?
Yes. Yep. It's clear
yes,
tempered
that one.
glass.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
It's like Kosori or something is the
watching
the manufacturer.
The water bubble.
Yeah. Oh, it's so pretty. And that even has become part of the experience. So yes, now I want to boil the water and like make the tea for people and like steep it properly and then enjoy it with them over conversation and just,
especially when you can see it literally boiling and doing all these different steps.
I know, it's beautiful because I want it to be about sharing an experience, you know, and
obviously with Asian culture, I mean, the tea ceremony it goes back centuries and centuries.
Yes. So, yes, absolutely. And that's something like I know nothing about, like, but yeah, no, it's fascinating. Teas that I would recommend to people. So I don't like, this is going to be weird for somebody who likes Constant Comment or Orange and Spice. I don't like cinnamon. And that makes it very difficult to like find like teas that it's
and you're probably not a chai fan then.
No, I'm not. And I,
what if I made really good chai?
I bet if you made really good chai, I would enjoy it. But there's just something about like cinnamon that is kind of like black licorice to me, and it's a thing. And but I would probably learn to enjoy it. I like to think that I'm open-minded and not just like, ew, no, I don't
cinnamon
want
with chai, it balances out with the cardamom, so it works out really well.
See, yes. And so I bet if it was like expertly made and just and I would want to try it anyway, but more like chai it anyway. Wow, that was bad. It's late. See, this is what you get when when you
While
talk
there
to
is
me.
tea, there is hope. It's full of puns. So
well, good.
And actually, I think your last question was gonna be asking for a tea pun, so you already gave me one.
I am ahead of the game. That's what I strive to be. But I'm also like,
I just wanted to briefly go back to that bit where you're talking about the noodle flavored tea.
Yeah.
There is, I believe it's called GMC Sencha, which is a Japanese tea that has rice in it, like kind of popped rice. Yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah,
Should I
and it
try
gives it a kind of. Yeah, it's really good. You can actually get it at Trader Joe's too, just a plain one. And it has like a kind of savory flavor to it. And it goes really well with food. Yeah.
Oh, I would like that. Yeah, I would really like that. I've had some like green teas that kind of have like a rice kind of flavor, and I really enjoy those.
All right, so here's your chance to show yourself off. We're going off tea.
Okay.
What are some new things happening for you in the future you want to talk about?
Oh, wow. Are they tea related or are they
anything?
Oh, okay.
They can be, or
gosh. Okay. So a few things.
It's plug time.
Okay. I like this. So I have a show called the Right Now Podcast, and it's been going, it's coming up on more than 6 years. It's just a long running show.
What are we at? 128?
Well, and it's funny. I had a spin-off show called Coffee Break, which I love that you have Teabreak. This makes me really, really happy. But I removed all those episodes. So I have almost 200 episodes that I've recorded. And so if people want to check that out and listen, I would love to have them. It's a great companion for your afternoon cup of tea. If you want to hear somebody talk about living creatively in a creative life. Let's see. I'm working on season 2 of Girl in Space. And of course, tea fuels all of these things as well. I usually have a cup of coffee when I journal in the morning, and then I switch to tea, and then I work on Girl in Space. Oh, recently. Okay. I do have to say, you asked me earlier about a tea that I'm like really passionate about right now. The Art of Tea has this Earl Grey cream, and it's Earl Grey, and it has blue cornflowers in it, and just like a little hint of like a vanilla.
Do you have it with milk or just
I just have it straight. I just have it plain. And Christopher Reynaga and Maggie Croft from Point Mystic sent it to me. Who live
literally down the road from me, but I still have not been. Yes, they're in San Francisco. Yeah.
Well, they sent me this tea, and so like now I drink it while I'm working on Girl in Space, and I think about them, and it's just a really lovely.
I should ask them where they got it from, because I probably know it.
So I've been enjoying that. So I'm working on season 2 of Girl in Space and writing that right now. I'm also working on, I think I would categorize it as like gentle horror, like, because I don't tend to like really, really gross and gruesome, like torture horror. I don't, the Saw movies, not for me. I like big, majestic monsters in the semi-darkness in the distance, So I'm working on a gentle horror story, and that will feature tea and coffee.
And it's a podcast?
It's going to be a podcast. It's very far off in the future because I'm also still, I have a TV show for Girl in Space that is still in development and is taking a lot of time and energy. So like all of these projects are going so slowly. It's so frustrating. But I'm trying to learn patience.
Well, fortunately, you can keep having lots of tea to help you get through that.
Exactly. So the tea is helping me get through. The tea is helping me center myself and remember to be patient as I wait 5 to 7 minutes for my Egyptian chamomile to finally steep. But yeah, I don't know if people want to hang out. Like I'm also doing live streams Wednesday nights over on Twitch, twitch.tv/ am I Sarah Rhea Werner or Sarah Werner? I don't remember. But you can find a link to that on my website over at sarahwerner.com. So yeah, come hang out. We have a good time. A lot of fun. And I drink tea during those live streams as well. So it's just a tea good
And you
time.
get to see live Midori all the time.
You do, who is now just burying her face in my hand for scritches.
So I'm sure she's so confused with you working so late tonight. She's like, you should be on the couch petting me nonstop.
Exactly. She has no idea what's going on. She's like, I'm just here. I'm just pet my head. But
well, that wraps up the interview, so she can get her pettings now. Thanks so much for doing this, Sarah.
Thank you, Alex. This was a delight. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. And happy tea to you.